So I tried to play against the internet in this game called I'm Gonna Do What I Want to Do, and the internet was like, no, you're gonna play my game, and what you're gonna do is what you do every month. You're gonna close out of your budget, and then you're gonna come back and do a Q&A. So here we are doing the Q&A. Let me see if I can grab your comments from here, and then you're more than welcome to add your comments there, because the screen definitely froze and the internet was like, is that you think you're gonna do that? No, ma'am, no. um, so Ouija said, I agree. I'm a student and watching you helps me with it. And yeah, that was loud laugh. Yes. Manisha said, gonna have to watch this over. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Alan Stanley said, but you're glowing. Thank you so much. I'm telling you, thank goodness for like Neutrogena and this spray. I need to figure out how to pronounce this spray, but it's a rose water spray and it's amazing. Like, that's all I have on my face. I'm like, oh, thank you. Kara said, oh, I'm with you. Yeah, like that whole concept of like, it's not the money that you're like irritated and frustrated with, and you don't really want to be broke. What you want is not to have responsibility, and that's fair. Like, if you think about, like, generally speaking, why people don't want to be adults, it's like because of the responsibility. It's because when you make a choice, the outcome, the consequence, or whatever of that choice is on you. And if you don't go into it realizing that, then it burdens you in a way that's a little bit heavier than what you may have otherwise imagined. Christy Taylor said, do you believe that you have learned enough from the trainer to simply continue going to the gym on your own? No. I mean, no. I would say no. I'm probably 50% where I want to be in terms of my goal, but also I'm externally motivated. So it really helps me to have someone holding me accountable. And so having him hold me accountable is sometimes the only reason why I go to the gym, because one, I have a lot of skin in the game. I'm invested a very high dollar amount. And then two, I know that it wouldn't just be me not showing up for me. It would also be me not showing up for him. And I really, really value paying professionals to do what they're great at. So no, but I wasn't actually trying to learn so that I could stop going to him, if that makes sense. So I probably could have, if I would have said to myself, okay, I'm going to do this for 6 months, I'm going to learn how to go to the gym and then be on my own, then it may be different. But I did not even, I don't register any of our experiences that way. Like, and when I do go to the gym by myself, like, I do have one personal day that I go in and I just do it alone. Like, I do some combination of what we do, but I still like that additional guidance and that additional accountability. So, Portillo, you are on to something good with this. I feel this every month, but I've never been able to verbalize the emotion. Listen, Portillo, I would love to take credit for it, but what happened was, that's her screen name, is what happened. She was the one who brought it to my attention, and she was the one who brought it to my attention that I was settling in a way that was unsettling for me. So one of the things she brought to my attention is, like, you know, before all this began, I talked about the things that I would need to do to sustain myself, right? I was like, listen, I'm going to increase my food budget. I'm going to get a personal trainer, and I'm going to decorate, and I'm going to socialize. And I talked about those things. And she was talking about how, like, you settled in the way that you're doing the journey now isn't honoring who you are. And she was just like, you know, I get it. Like, I understand, like, this is how most people are doing it. And she was just like, but the way that you do the journey is going to be the thing that gets you to the end. And she was just like, even from the beginning, you've been that way, right? Like, people were saying you needed to work full time. People were saying you need to work full time. You shouldn't be shopping at Whole Foods. They were saying all of these things that you shouldn't have done your first year. But because you honored intuitively what you knew what was best for you, here we are a year later, and then now it all makes sense. And she was just like, and I feel like it's the same thing with those 4 decisions that you made at the top of the year. Like, when you honor yourself and what you said you were going to do, it actually advances your financial journey. And she was just like, and I think a lot of what you're struggling with now is that you made some choices and you went back on your word. And so now you are incredibly overwhelmed month to month because you don't know what to do, because you don't want to do any of the things that you're doing, because you're not doing the thing that you really want to do, which is to decorate so that you can have a place to be in your home, and to socialize so that you can have more social connections that are building into this thing that's happening around you. And I was just like, you know, I just never thought about it like that. So I'll definitely put her podcast and information in the description box, because I think that this is just her thing. Like, I told her, I was like, your ability to be able to see that and articulate that, like, everybody needs to hear that, because I didn't realize that like I was dishonoring the part of me that knew better. It would be the equivalent if like my first year, rather than me focusing on restoring my financial dignity, I just did what everybody was telling me to do. That's sort of what I'm doing now. Like me choosing not to decorate, me choosing not to socialize because of the financial part of it, because it makes sense, is me choosing not to do something that needs to be done because of who I am, not just because of the journey that I'm on. And there's a distinction between those two things. And that's why I always say, like, I will always tell you guys what I'm doing, but I can't tell you how I'm doing it, because it's not really up to me. It's really between me and God. And so if God is like, listen, this is what I'm telling you to do and how to set this thing up, it's just like, you got to ride with that. Because anybody watching my journey with logical eyes, none of it makes sense. But it doesn't make sense because I let the business between me and God be the business between me and God, and the business between me and this community be the business between me and this community. And I got a little sidetracked, and I got to get back onto that. Like, having an atmosphere here at my home would probably make it a little bit more comfortable for me to deal with the emotional overwhelm that comes from making 10 grand a month. But it's just like, it's like, on the surface, it's like, oh, you're not making 10 grand a month, you're not paying off your debt. Well, no. On the surface, it's like, you're not paying off more debt because you're buying these frivolous things. Like, you have a trainer and whatever you want to decorate. But for me, I'm probably not pushing to that level because I'm not comfortable enough. Comfort isn't the right word. I'm not secure in my environment enough to where if I go out there and do something that's scary, like make that money, I don't have a place to come home to that would be restorative. Like, it is psychologically odd to make $10,000 in a month and not have dresser drawers, right? Like, I don't have dresser drawers, for example. And I'm not saying you need dresser drawers, but I'm saying, like, for example, like, it's psychologically more work because I'm tripping over things in my physical environment that don't match where I'm at financially. And this isn't to say that like I need to go out and like get gold plated anything, but I'm saying like there's a level of living that I'm living at now that just doesn't even match what I'm earning. And so there's cognitive dissonance in my physical space, then there's cognitive dissonance in my mental space, then there's cognitive dissonance in my emotional space, and I'm fighting all these extra battles when I could just probably make my home comfortable. So when I'm doing something that's a reach and a stretch, I'm coming home to a home. And so yeah, but yeah, I wish I could take credit for it, but it was not me, it was her. CEO of the Golden Enterprise, want the power but not the responsibility. I felt that. Yeah, like we want the power, but not I want the power and ability to pay off all my debt. And I would love, I'm gonna let that pass. I would love for my story to be, I was able to pay off $200,000 worth of debt, and I moved into a studio apartment, slept on an air mattress, and only ate beans and rice, the whole time. But the truth of the matter is that's not my story, and trying to make that my story is preventing me from progressing in reaching this. Like, my story is I'm going to pay off 100% of my debt, and in me paying off nearly $200,000, I was unwilling to compromise my mental, emotional, and physical health and well-being. That's my story, and that will be reflected in the decisions that I make. And you see, when I'm reflecting that, I'm better. Versus when I don't reflect that, I'm never as healthy, I'm never as vibrant, I'm never as expressive, whatever, as I could be when I'm not doing this journey that in a way that's in alignment with me and who I am. And it's just like, I am facing way too many fears and stretching way beyond like what the average person would stretch beyond, to then sort of psychologically beat myself up because I want to get a rug. Like, does that make, I'm hoping that makes sense. Like, I'm saying, like, there is an aspect of like earning money where it doesn't have anything to do with the things, right? Like it doesn't have, like, it's not like I'm like, oh no, like I live in a dump. Like, no, but there's an aspect of you put in work and you earned all of this, but you deny yourself a rug. Or, for example, a shower curtain. Like, I don't have a shower curtain. I have the liner, and that's just what I use. And it's just like, there's some people out there that would be like, yeah, that's it. That's all you need anyway. Be a minimalist and change your lifestyle. You only need a shower liner. But then there's another case to be made for excuse me, ma'am, you made $5,000 and you don't have a shower curtain? You don't have like a proper curtain to just wash, like you know, does that make sense? I'm trying to say that like my behavior is out of alignment, and because of that it is diminishing the energy and my capacity to do what I could do, because it's just not in alignment. And it's not about like keeping up with the Joneses, because if that's what it was about, I definitely would have been fully decorated. It's not about that. It's about saying, and it's not even the space of like, oh, you know, you made this so you deserve this. Nope, it's not that either. It's you are not as poor as you're behaving. Maybe is that what it is? Like I don't know what it is. Wit, if you're still on here, you give me the words for that. You give the community the words for that. But I'm hoping I'm making that make sense. Christina Daughtery said, I totally get that. I budget so much better when money is tight. I need to think about this, and you make such good points. Yeah, like, and it's because we don't have as many choices. Dana Miles, oh my God, so far since I started following your journey, every time I tune in, you speak directly to something I'm feeling but can't explain. I love that. So honored to serve you in that way. This is so important. Have you checked out Planet Fitness for $10 a month? I have. I prefer LA Fitness. Chantel Walker said, this is a gym. Kara J said, what was the process that you underwent to change how you dealt with your budget emotionally? The process is what I put in the money mindset manual. So like that's how I made the first shift out of just being emotional about, like, generally emotional. That process helped me to allow myself to earn more money. It helped me to like allow myself to even save my emergency fund. So the process that I put in the money mindset manual. But releasing some of the emotions, if you just Google like our YouTube Stacey Flowers, resentment, guilt, shame, that's 3 examples like that are here on YouTube where I've released a ton of emotion. And so that process is sort of like outlined in the money mindset manual. But this just recent block of emotion, it's the combination of me forcing myself not to spend for a little bit, and then I redid my budget on May 15th, and then a couple of days later I had that call with Wit, and she brought to my attention how I was dishonoring choices that I made before that need to be honored now so that I can actually make this thing happen. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm hoping that you guys are picking up what I'm putting down, because I feel like this is something different than I deserve this pair of boots because I worked hard. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I want to continue working hard, and in me continuing to work hard, it may be important for me to take care of my atmosphere and my environment, because I'm working out of this atmosphere and this environment, and I'm doing some really challenging work out of this atmosphere and environment. And maybe the level at which, you know, because I picked a space that was perfect for this level that I'm at. You know, for my office nook, you know, like some of the things that I put in this environment are perfect to get me to this level, but maybe what I need to get to the next level is an even greater enhancement in my environment. Because it's the same level choice from when I moved into this apartment. It made no financial sense to move into this apartment, but nobody watching this journey would look at the difference between where I am now and where I was before and say, oh, well, she could have definitely done that there. You can clearly see the difference in my energy, my enthusiasm, my excitement. You can clearly see the difference in me, because I made a decision that did not financially look like the right decision, but it was the right decision for me because I needed to be in a different environment to do this level work. And so what I'm saying now is that I think that there needs to be something that I do in this environment to support me to do that next level work. And I didn't realize that I had gone back on that choice, and that was impacting my ability to be able to stretch and reach for more and land in my own home with comfort. So there's that. The Ginger Scott, I had a bad month also, was so out of it I didn't even budget, and now suffering the consequence. Yeah, so we just have our bad months, and it's just 1 month out of the year, and we get right back up. Logical Mermaid says, so many businessmen and women choose bankruptcy instead. Good for you. Oh yeah, 100%. My debt isn't bankruptable. 90% of it isn't bankruptable, but even if it was, I wouldn't have chosen bankruptcy because I wouldn't have learned all this. I mean, this is priceless. Like, This is like double education. Like the first time I paid for the degrees, the second time I paid to master personal finances. So like, yeah. Because if I was debt free, I don't know how I would have learned this. And that's something that I'm thinking about now too, as I'm trying to figure out how do I transfer what I know now to my son, especially as he's starting to earn his own money. Deshandra said, do you plan to contact your student lender to defer your payment this month or apply the income repayment plan? No. I'll call them to see if they can give me a little bit of a grace, but I'm not going to defer it, no, or get a payment plan. Miss Pretty in Pink 11, girl, you are speaking the truth that I need to hear. You are not alone in this current space. I understand. That's awesome. I'm so happy that you guys understand. Dana Miles, another major aha, cognitive dissonance explains so much in my current business and personal finance life. Yeah, like cognitive dissonance is a beast. And it's one thing when you got psychological cognitive dissonance, but when you have physical, I'm only using this as an example. I don't want you guys to hear me as complaining. I'm just using this as an example. I need you to imagine making $10,000 and I've made the choice to spend $400 on a trainer, but I don't have a curtain in my bathroom. Like that doesn't make sense. Like the cognitive dissonance between that level of abundance and the way that I'm choosing to live doesn't make sense. So I'm out of order. And it could be enough of me being out of order to say, okay, well, Stacey, you need to not go to your trainer and just go ahead and put your space together. But my original decision was to do both, and that doing both was to give me, so like, okay, here's an even better way to say it. So you guys know how like right now I'm charged up. I'm like, man, my income dropped, new challenge accepted. Now I gotta go make this money, make up for this lost month. Like I feel challenged by the lower income that I have now. There's comfort, but there's also this challenge that makes me wanna go out and get it. Like makes me wanna go out and make something happen. And the unhealthy version of this is that like I'm creating drama in my life to keep me going, to keep me reaching, keep me going to the next level. I think what I intuitively knew before when I was making the decisions to choose those 4 things to increase in my lifestyle is that I knew that those would create problems financially, but it would create a problem in that it would create a challenge. My new challenge is, how do you continue to increase your income and maintain your ability to be able to pay this, rather than recreating this challenge where your income drops and now you just have this, like it's like there's an aspect of me that needs or wants the challenge to drive me forward, and that's not healthy when I'm in a situation where it's not healthy to do it from a dramatic place, but it's healthy to do it from a like reaching, striving place. It's healthy to do it from a place of like, hey, is it a little bit of a challenge to make sure that I have everything, in order to pay for my personal trainer? Yes, but that's a new challenge that I want to accept. I want to be somebody who can afford to do that. So I want to continue to reach for the resources to be able to do that. I want that to be my new comfort in the way that this is my comfort. Again, hoping that that's making sense to you guys. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, and so because of that, that's where the cognitive dissonance is showing up, is because in my mind, that's my point of saying this. So in my mind, my business is making the dream amount of money that I want to make. And even the salary that I'm making, like I make $5,000 a month working part-time, and I'm not connected to that. Well, why am I not connected to it? Well, there's a part of me that's not connected to it because I'm literally not connecting to it. And I think that that's why I wanted my home environment to be this safe haven, this space of like a cocoon for me, so that I could connect to what it was that I was actually doing. There's an element of me not being able to connect to it too with my debt, because my debt snowball was all over the place, but there's an aspect of me I'm not connected to it. So the cognitive dissonance between what I've actually achieved and what I dream of achieving, I'm actually really, really close to it, but I can't feel it because it doesn't match. My stuff doesn't match, and I need to make them match a little more so I can feel that and then comfortably reach to the next level. And that was the other thing that Whit said. She was just like, we're always talking about, needing to take a leap of faith and a leap this and a leap that, and so many people want to take leaps. And she was just like, a lot of us really could just be taking steps, but we're settling at a level, and then the next level has to be a leap. And I was just like, mind blown, because the way that relates to me is that like, if I don't do anything with this space, right, and I pay off all of my debt, moving out of this space to what I will be able to afford when I pay off debt will blow my entire mind, and not in a good way. It'll blow my mind in such a way that I'm going to run out and go run back up the debt, because it's not going to make sense, because I'm going to come out of such lack and then suddenly be enthralled in such abundance that I'm going to have this like experience of like the disillusionment, the mind, like the cognitive, like it's not going to make sense, and it's going to feel like this big leap. Whereas like if I allow myself to live in this space, the next space will be, it may be a leap, but it won't be that big of a leap, because I'm not going from, you know, sleeping on an air mattress to now sleeping in a proper bed. Like I will be going from sleeping on an air mattress to sleeping in a proper bed to now sleeping in a maybe a little bit more of a luxurious bed. It's just they become steps rather than leaps. And she was just like, so many of us fail because we're taking these big leaps. It's one big leap after another instead of just taking the steps. And she was just like, in all the other areas, like in therapy, in your company, in your nutrition, you took steps. Like you're like, oh, I'm gonna eat this from this store, and now I'm gonna eat this, and now I'm gonna eat this. Like we watched you take those steps, and because you took steps, I think that that's why it didn't freak you out. This particular thing, you didn't take this step, and now it feels like a leap. And I'm like, you're right. I need to take this step. That's just what I'm gonna do. So to lessen the cognitive dissonance in the environment that I'm in. Dana Miles said, authenticity versus what you should do. I'm learning what my truth is and what that looks like financially. Yeah. And if you guys, for me, like, I think for me, there's some other like childhood, emotional, mental stuff wrapped around home for me as well. That's why the beginning of this month was so rough. So it was super easy for me to be dismissive of this one. But I mean, think about how adamant I am about my trainer. Think about how adamant I am about Whole Foods. Think about how adamant I am about therapy. Like I go to the mat for my decisions because I don't make my decisions lightly. But when it came to decorating and when it came to socializing, I'm like, oh no, okay, all right, I'll just, because there's a necessity in that I don't even want to face. But now being where I'm at, this discomfort is worse than the discomfort of that. So I have to like go over there. So yeah, it's about being authentic, and my authentic self wants that. And I know that because I made that decision before I even knew all of this money was here. Before I even knew it was going to be at this level, I had already made those decisions. Chantel Walker said, this makes complete sense. I'm so glad that that's helping you. Texas Gal said, quality of life helps you to be the most productive. 100%. But my quality of life is not matching the level of productivity that I am putting on myself to produce. It's not matching, and I need for it to match. And that is not to be confused with, I'm going to go out and buy a Lexus. Like, no, I'm not going to go out and buy a Lexus. But am I going to buy a shower curtain? Yeah, I am. Soybean, I've been a gym person for the last 18 years. I've tried them all, including Planet Fitness, and it was not for me. They didn't have good section of weight machines, just a bunch of cardio. Yeah, every gym is different intentionally for that reason. I really like LA Fitness. I feel like it's perfect gym for me. CEO Golden Enterprise, exactly. Yeah, thank you. Blue Gypsy, what do you do for a living? If it's too personal question, please disregard. No, so I make a living through talking, and I earn money through coaching, influencing, and speaking. So I do speaking engagements, I have coaching clients, and then influencing by way of brand partnerships, and then I also create personal growth and development products and services. Great question. Miss Pretty in Pink 11, I went from making 44 per hour to 15 per hour, and I've learned that respecting money, respecting emotions, and boundaries are so important. 100%. 100%. Dorinda Nicole, gotta make sure you set yourself up to bring the best self to the table on the same wave now. Yeah, like I didn't realize that I didn't realize until this conversation with Wit happens. I did not realize that first of all, that I wasn't doing that, and I didn't realize. And it's different than doing it because you're trying to keep up with the Joneses. It's different when you're like, no, I'm doing this because this is what's best for me. Those are two totally different things. And I didn't realize that in terms of my atmosphere, I wasn't doing what was best for me. And she really helped me to be able to see that, and just the burden of my choices, the weight of my choices. Miss Happy Feet, let your environment reflect who you are and want to be. I agree. As an inspiring interior decorator, your environment is truly important to your vision, health and well-being. Same as woman. Yes, 100%. It's the same as women who nest while pregnant. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Kara J, yes, I agree with Stacey on keeping drama to continue the cycle. Yeah, it's like what, and this is something I had talked to my therapist about a different issue, but it's just like this, me making less money is a drama thing that I've created. I created this problem. I'm taking full responsibility for that. Yes, I knew there was going to be a drop because I was scaling my company. Yeah, overall I'm fine with it, but also it's like I want to get to the point where I don't have to create these type of problems because I'm looking for a challenge and I just face the next challenge that's coming. So yeah. Yep. Keisha the realist, don't be too hard on yourself. Having mental space freedom is more than any of the things we continue to stress and worry about. Life is bigger than that. Oh, 100%. I agree. This isn't me being hard on myself. This is just me. I'm hoping that I'm articulating it as well as Wit did, because I'm telling you, changed my life. Changed my life in a conversation. Christina Daughtery said, originally you needed to look at yourself mentally and physically, hence the therapist and personal trainer. Now that you're reaching these goals, you might be able to work on your environment. That's the next level of allowing myself to continue to grow and do. And it's just like it's honoring what I'm doing. Like, yeah, it's like it's honoring what I'm doing. It's like, even when you think about writers, like writers who make it really, really big, when you see their writing spaces, they're like, people are like, oh, why do you write out here? And they're like, oh, because I need the quiet so that I can imagine all these things. And it's just like their first book they may have written in a hole somewhere, in a crap apartment, with a TV dinner stand. Like, that's where they wrote the first book. But the first book, they could write it there because the world wasn't watching them. So they didn't need additional things to stitch them together when the world was watching in anticipation. They could write the first book there because it was literally just them pouring out. But what happens is when you write that first book and you experience success, that comes with different pressures that you didn't have when it was just you and your thoughts writing that first book. And because it comes with different pressures, you have to allow yourself to put things around you to manage that pressure. And I gave myself permission to do that with the trainer to sort of manage stress, but I didn't give myself permission to do that in my home environment. And that's not okay. And it's just like, that's the reason why the writer who wrote their first book writes it on a TV dinner stand. And then by the time they're writing their last book, they're freaking on a writer's retreat on some island where their nearest neighbor is like 2 miles away, because the level to reproduce what they created there, only better, it requires a different environment because of what's now in their environment. And when I started this journey, I started with 2,000 people watching me, not how many people are watching me now. When I started this journey, I was working for someone else at a cafe, not exclusively working for myself. The amount of pressure that I didn't even pause to acknowledge, the amount of pressure that I put on myself to work for myself in my own company, and then the amount of pressure of like growing that company, did not pause to acknowledge any of that. Like, there are things that I'm doing that are exceptional, and in them being exceptional, and them having exceptional results, it's like, to continue, it's like, you gotta stop writing great books from a TV dinner table, Stacey. Like, the next book isn't gonna come from that because you don't have the benefit of what you had when you were at that level. You're at a different level. So prepare yourself for doing that level work at this level. Wrapping my mind around that is just very, very, been very interesting. Tanya Thrift said, what's the name of your podcast again? Is she in here? Well, her handle is Wit Happens. I can't remember the name of her podcast, but I'm going to put it in the description box on this video and the next video. Dutch Nell said, do you buy new things or do you go for secondhand stuff? I'm half and half. I'm not like somebody who has to have new things. I just really like quality. So if I find it at the thrift store, I find it at the thrift store. Yeah, so it looks like those are all the questions that we have. I deeply appreciate you guys for supporting my work and for watching. I am looking forward to this month and everything going well. If you have any more questions, put them in the description box below. If not, enjoy the rest of your beautiful, gorgeous, super fantastic, amazing Saturday.